So with most people, I feel like that when they think of the idea of trying to change their life, they think that they have to like do a complete 180 on everything that they have done or that they're currently doing in order to like change their life or like fix it to a degree when honestly that's not really the case. And some people I feel like they even think that they're like, oh, I'm too old to try and change my life. I gotta just do what I been doing for the last 20 years, and they're like stuck in their ways. And it's low key sad to see. Um, because honestly, the more and more I grow up, the more and more I realize that like success doesn't really have a timeline. Like, oh, also forgive me. This is a weird recording location. I'm literally recording this on my stairs, and I hope the indiscriminate chatter of my Mexican neighbors having a party isn't too very distracting. I tried to wait till like 1 or 2 a.m. to record this, and frankly, I don't think they're gonna stop for a while. Um, but back to what I was saying. I fear as if people think that like trying to change their life requires a substantial amount of things that they need to do in order to change it. Where it could literally just be something as simple as you do one thing all the time. And instead of you doing that one thing, you replace it with something else. Then you then decide to do that something else instead of that one thing you were doing before. Um, like for most people, it's usually adding something to their life instead of removing something from their life. Like, for example, for most people, I would say something very common that people want to get into is something like working out. Um, I feel like for a lot of people, working out would be something like trying to find a specific time in the day that they can do that specific thing uh, on a frequent, semi frequent basis so that they can start to form said habit. Um, and it could literally be something as simple as that, where they work out for 30 minutes a day for 2, 3 days out of the week. If you can do that, you're already ahead of like 90% of people, to be honest, because every time you go outside, you can almost always see someone who is really fat, or you can tell they're not really in shape, right? Um, and I'm not saying that to be discriminatory or anything like that, or shame people for doing that or for being fat or anything. Although I personally would never want to be fat, but um, that's a personal thing. Uh, I will just say this: like, it doesn't change, or it doesn't take much. I'm sorry, I just heard that little kid screaming. It does not take much for somebody to want to make a change in their life. It literally takes something as simple as just implementing an action that you've always wanted to do. And it doesn't have to be working out. It could be a hobby that or something you want to do, something, some sort of passion that you always wanted to, that you had. Like even now, just recently getting in a relationship has reminded me of some of the things that I've had in the back of my mind that I've always wanted to do, but never really had the I shouldn't say I didn't have the time, but I didn't really give myself the time to think about how I would implement said habits. And now I'm like kind of making up for lost time where it's like I've thought of all these things that I wanted to do, and I didn't really have any real way of implementing them. But I kind of realized that like I don't need to really think about how to implement them. I really just needed to think about how can I start. And that was kind of my biggest problem when I say you don't need to change your life by doing super big substantial leaps. Like you don't have to jump into a completely new environment in order to change your life. It could just be something as simple as like starting a habit, and then you see how that compounds over time. Like you um for example, I'll just list one of the things I've wanted to do is like get into like photography and shit like that, where it's like I wanted to learn how to like actually get really good at taking photos. Because apparently, according to my girlfriend, I actually kind of have a knack for that shit. Um, and I really just wanted to like be good at taking that one good shot, that one decent shot where you load up the frame and everything in the scene just looks perfect. I get obsessed with like getting that one good shot and trying to find like the best angle to do such. And it's little things like that, but I could do something as simple as just if I, whenever I'm outside, I could just try to line up a frame to make a visually and aesthetically pleasing photo and just hit click and do that every day that I go out or every day that I see something that's worthy of taking a picture. That is how I should have started 3 years ago when I first thought about this. No, 4 years ago when I first thought about this. It's something as simple as that. I hope giving you an example kind of helps with explaining about how like you probably I'm almost certain that you had hobbies or passions that you've thought about in the past or present that you currently have or want to do, but you just are hesitant to start. I just say take the leap and start. Because I was originally gonna make this. Now I remember. I feel like I was originally gonna make this video talking about like, oh, you're not cooked if you're too old to start something, or like, or you feel like you're too young and you don't have the experience. Like, I was gonna try to frame it in this lens of like, oh, you're not cooked. It's more so just like now this video is turning into more of like just start, bro. Like literally just start. Um, that's why, and I feel like I'm not very consistent with making these videos because like I don't want to make videos on something where it's like I'm making a video just for the sake of making a video. Like I want to make a video on something I'm genuinely having a thought about and want to implement it in sort of and talk about it instead of just having passing thoughts. I tend to do that a lot where I tend to think about a lot of shit, but I don't really jot down my thoughts. And that's what I'm kind of trying to do with this whole YouTube channel thing and try to talk about things that I think about. So, um, I don't want this to go on for too much longer. I just want to say again, give yourself time to actually start doing something, even if it's small. Like get into a hobby or a passion that you want to do gradually. Like, especially if it's going to improve your life. Like, I genuinely believe that taking good photos is going to improve my life in some way, shape, or form. Whether it be like I can eventually be good at like recording good videos or just being good with cameras, things like that. Like someone's always gonna want someone that can take like a good photo of them, things like that. Like I think that eventually down the road I could get paid for doing something like that, but I don't really want to get paid for that, right? At least not right now. I'd much rather just do it as a hobby and just to have better photos of myself and other people. Um, and obviously I want to get more consistent with working out. But in order to do that, you just understand that those things require a bit of sacrifice, right? Like you can't continue to do the same exact things that you were doing every single day and then want to stack on new things that you want to do every single day or every other day or whatever it is, whatever it may be. Those do require some level of sacrifice. So just understand that like you may have to give up one thing that you really like doing. Not give it up, but you would have to diminish the amount of time that you're spending doing one thing in order to devote some time into doing this new thing, or else you're never going to form the habit with this new thing and just falling back into older habits. If you really do want to make like, I would say a substantial change, then yeah, if jump into new environments, do things to mitigate the things that you wanted to leave behind or like want to do less and leave more room open to doing stuff that you want to do more. Like, for example, I'll just say video games. Because video games could be a great pastime or a vice. And if you have to, I would say you can set a timer. That never works for me. But for me, it would be like getting in a different room or environment that doesn't allow me to even get on a video game. Which I'm kind of glad I have like a separate room for where I play my video games instead of it being inside of my own personal room. Things like that. So, isolating said hobby to a certain place in your house or room or hell just cutting it out. Like if you want to make, like I said, drastic change, just literally Because I remember at one point I literally was like trying to see how long I could go without playing the game. And I took my PS5 and unplugged it and just kept it inside of the top of my closet for like 30 days. And that was the longest time I've ever gone without playing a video game in like over a decade. Like it's crazy to say it took literally conscious effort to unplug the shit and put it inside of the top left of my closet for a month. I can never say I've gone longer than a month without playing video games in over a decade. That's a weird thing to say. But that's what I mean as an example of like drastic change. You cutting out something in order to put, you allow yourself more time to put in new things that you want to do. Um, this sounds very like simple and self-explanatory too. I feel like a lot of people, it's like this is kind of like a no duh sort of video if you're kind of dabble in like spaces like this. But for some people, they kind of need like a bit of like a wake up call or like a tutorial or like, just like a, hey, I'm kind of like wanting to do this, but like I fall into like a pattern of repetition when it comes to old habits and wanting to try new things, do new things. So if you need any sign, let this be the one to just start. Because, I mean, you never know what that could lead to. Usually it'll always lead to something more positive if you're trying to implement something better. So, honestly, I don't care how old you are, young, old, hell, even if you're like 10 years old watching this, like, just start. Honestly, just start. There's not much that'll, because think about it this way, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen, I can tell you right now, is that you'll die. Like, as long as the worst that you can have absolutely like have is that you'll die, you'll be fine. What's the worst that can happen if you start? Just start. I mean it. Just start. You'll never know what'll come out of it unless you try.